11 scientists tied to NASA, space programs, and the government are already dead. Many of them by means that are not very common. 5 are still missing. Yesterday, news broke that China is also experiencing the same. Online, many people are questioning. They're saying, hey, isn't this the plot to the Netflix Series 3 Body Problem, which has to do with an alien invasion? Many people are very confused.
If we don't see that, there must have been some other means of propulsion.
And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming.
Many people are very confused because these scientists that are connected to nuclear science, and MIT physicists, the Caltech one who was gunned down on his front porch, this is getting a lot of people very concerned. I don't know why I got so interested in this, was because there's a new Disney movie coming out, an animated feature called Hexed. Now, I've been talking a lot about cursed and hexes and witchcraft recently. So when I saw Hex, of course, I went back and I said, oh, let me see, I think I did a whole video with the word hex in it, and I looked it up. And exactly 6 years before this movie is going to be released. Hexed, by the way, it's a movie about like a girl with magical powers. And here's the poster. You see very clearly the moon. Hexed, the moon. And then I remember I did a show about witches years ago, hexing the moon, and I thought it was strange because it was exactly 6 years after my repost about witches hexing the moon. This is something also that we've been talking about on the channel for a long time, going back to like 2018, when one space telescope after another, there were some kind of issues. But guess what? Issues are still going on. There's talk of asteroids that are just being discovered that are getting very close and getting people very upset. Everything in the world right now is sus. The question is, why? Are the aliens coming? Is Nibiru on its way? Or is there another explanation? Buckle up and find out. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jacob Israel. If you're new to the channel, I'm a speculator. I take things that happen in current events and I tie them to, like, stuff that's happened already, because the scriptures say there's nothing new under the sun. And right now, there is a lot of weird stuff going on. Astrologically speaking, too. Uranus is a planet. Well, guess what? The planet Uranus is entering into Gemini. That's right. It's like a big deal. For like 7 years, okay? Big deal. They're calling it the Great Awakener planet. Something is in the mix. Something in my life, I feel like there's something going on. But the thing that's getting everybody riled up is not the fact that there's something spiritually happening. It's the fact that these big names in, like, anti-gravity, fusion physics and hypersonic experts, drone specialists. Now listen, a lot of people, instead of going the obvious route right now that, information is a war and everybody is basically attacking everybody and there's a new world order taking shape because most likely there's some kind of event that's coming. I wouldn't doubt it. But the fact that we have these scientists missing now not just in America, but also in China, it does get some people freaked out. Is it the aliens or is it, good old-fashioned espionage? This is something that's happened for a long time. Countries will go in after the smartest minds to find out this technology, have them reverse engineer it. It's, these are covert wars that happen. There's something that's very sus about it. And it's something I've been talking about for a long time, especially because it's connected to ancient Sumerian mythology. The aliens, the Anunnaki, Planet Nibiru, Planet X, Planet 9. If you're new to the channel, it's actually the one topic that made my channel take off, was that there is this planet that's in an elliptical orbit. They think that there's another planet out there beyond the Oort cloud that comes in close. And when it does that, it'll bump things around. But also, there's the belief that it opens a window for, aliens from that planet to come in and visit. I don't know. Look, this is stuff that I'm not really that concerned about in the grand scheme of things. Most likely, we will never see any of this stuff because as the government's coming out and they're saying, look, I've seen the alien pictures, like Tim Burchett, this guy over here, Burchett, I think is it how you pronounce his name, kind of sounds like the stuff that's coming out of his mouth. I don't know if you should really listen to it. Maybe the aliens are real. I don't really care in the grand scheme of things. There's one God that's in charge of everything, right? Same God that made us, made everything. So I'm sure that there's a plan. But there's a lot of scientists going missing. Let me just read some of the names, okay? The big names that are still missing. This is Monica Reza right here. She's a NASA materials scientist who vanished in she was hiking California. She was gone. Then there was the retired Air Force General Neil McCasland, Stephen Garcia, Anthony Chavez, Melissa all of these, the FBI is like, okay, there's got to be some kind of connection. We got to look into it. Yeah, you think there's a connection? But is it aliens? Or is it something else? I don't know. They're discovering a lot of weird things lately. They just said that they discovered there's like a Kraken type creature that they discovered a fossil of. We're entering into the strange days, my friends. We also had a lot of like space telescopes that like had all sorts of issues. 3 of them recently. The 70-meter Goldstone antenna, part of NASA's Deep Space Network, it broke in September of 25. NICER, the X-ray telescope on the space station, that shut down. Gaia, Europe's star mapping telescope, was deliberately shut down in March of 2025 when it ran out of fuel. Plus, NASA's actually powering down instruments like the Voyager 1 right now. They say there's no direct link to all of this stuff happening, but if you remember, I talked about the Arecibo. Remember there was one thing after another and all the Black Hawk helicopters came around the sunspot thing and they shut down the observatory for 11 days and it turned out it had to do with a janitor who was downloading some really bad stuff on the internet and that was their story? Maybe. Or maybe it's the ancient Egyptian gods that are coming back, Maybe that's it. They left people on the planet to care for the planet and everything else. Maybe it's like that movie Jupiter. If you haven't seen Jupiter Ascending, Jupiter Rising, something like that. A lot of people didn't like it. Mila Kunis was in it. It's basically about it. The Earth is like a planet, much like for cattle, and that the aliens they come down and I don't know. I'm not focused on any of that stuff. I really am not. I'm more concerned with the fact that probably there's some espionage going on. And of course we heard the news with David Wilcox, who I never really watched much of. I've just recently seen some of the stuff. I was on YouTube before him. I know those circles. I've seen all these guys. They all came up because I talked about UFOs. I talked about aliens. I've talked about all this stuff, but I never ever had any whistleblower information or any super secret information. And I never, like he said, I never shot lightning out of my fingers. I never teleported. I never, made, animals conscious beings like humans. I never had any superpowers like I guess Wilcox had said on the show. I actually did a little a search. I said, are there any scandals or anything attached to this poor guy? Because clearly he was having mental issues, his family says, and he also was having some financial woes. I mean, my goodness. The amount of money that goes to them and then they end up, this is why I sell mattresses and I stay away from all the baloney. I did like a Grok thing. I asked Grok, I said, compare and contrast me and we'll say someone like David Wilcox. And I posted it because I think a good name is more important than anything else. It's like, how can I tell you, this is the way to know the truth, is to not come to me, but go to God. The other people, they do different things. They make it like they're the, that they're the gatekeepers, that they have the super information, and that they've had this. You ever notice people like, oh, I had this experience, I had that experience, everybody has to be special, so they have to have these crazy, stories that a normal person's like, well, if that happened to them, well, then I must be missing out somehow. I got to listen to them. I got to support their work because all these influencers, Alex Jones, Tucker Carlson, all these guys that are on record connected to 3-letter agencies. I don't know how many times Alex Jones said that the CIA was talking to his parents. His dad was like a dentist, right? These are well-to-do people, like Tucker Carlson, whose dad was the voice of propaganda. He was like literally the voice of propaganda. And now it's funny because it's almost like all of these people are being exposed. I did shows about this. I said the sorcerers are going to fall. Now we hear about all these streamers like Clavicle that he just had his looks maxing thing shut down. All these people. And I stay on here. I've been doing this a long time. Thankfully, I'm back to working again, so I'm back to not really relying on this for my finances. Because it got to a point where it became a job, and I always shared from my heart with passion. But now I'm sharing because I know that I have to. Because how many honest and sincere voices out there today can you really turn to that one day don't get exposed to be someone like, oh God, this guy was struggling really bad and he was trying to lead everybody, and everybody sent him like millions of dollars. It's kooky to me. And I don't want to kick a man when he's down. I don't know him, but I know that whole group of individuals. They've been giving bold claims and saying this, that, and the other thing. And I just found myself in a guy named Jay Dyer. I don't know who he is, but I saw like one of the things they do is space on X, and I just thought, oh, cool, they're talking about biblical things. So I jumped in, and man, I couldn't believe how rude and arrogant and just clearly not. And then the guy blocked me, and I was very kind, and I was just talking. I was just sharing some information about the Virgin Mary, just sharing some information. But I guess, I don't know. I didn't know if he was an atheist or an Orthodox or whatever. But these people, they're arrogant. It's just, I'm glad to be me, is what I'm saying. And I'm glad that all of you are here. I'm glad that you took the time to watch the channel. I'm glad that you support the channel if you want. PayPal, Patreon, all that stuff. All the links in the description of the video. Get yourself a Uranus as a planet mug. You should get that because it's entering in for 7 years. For 7 years, you'll have something to talk about. You drink your coffee in the morning and make people laugh. Bring it to work, make people laugh, Uranus, it's a planet. All right, listen, I love each and every one of you. Don't forget that Uranus is also the name for heaven. Uranus. That's where we get it from. It's also connected to, ironically enough, Nibiru. Anu is, the Sky Father. Very strange stuff. All right, listen, thanks for coming. I love each and every one of you. Check the links in the description if you want to get involved any other way, and have the best day ever. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I hate what I see. I feel a strong pull away from this feed of lies, ignorance and misery. I hate that it's all become vanity. Attention stolen away by a clever entity, making you pay to be slave, pretending you'll be seen while you get lost and end up paying the cost of time waiting in between. I hate what I see. Flipped by a script that has tripped even the best of humanity. Blinded by the times dragging us behind a future of insanity. Blown away by the daily spin is the wind of sincerity. Gone are the songs of reconciliation and charity. Hocus pocus, a world out of focus in need of clarity. I hate what I see. Or debate, everyone is rushing to hate. Everywhere is crooked, nothing is straight. Costs increasing, lowered pay rates, taxes rising, paid for, uprising in the streets. I hate what I see. Welcome one, welcome all to the golden age. Every Earthly hustlers is now a sage on an artificially inflated and overrated, morally bankrupted religious stage. Jesus is king, they shout while they tear down and pout, trying to enrage every bird that has heard speech is free in their tiny cage. What once held promise has become depraved. I hate what I see. I hate what I see. So I will turn my eyes toward a prize that is waiting for me. Away from the phone, I will return to a home, to a place where I am free. Babylon, Babylon, you've lost the power you once held over me. And all it took was hating what I began to see.